5 minutes.
Examine what the government is doing in the supplementary estimates for a once proud and burgeoning industry that is now, after successive governments' neglect, in dire need. I am talking about some of the hardest workers in the country, grassroots New Zealanders who are up at 4 a.m. and on the job. I am, of course, referring to the New Zealand racing industry. Currently, trainers are talking about shutting up shop. Many top trainers have left or are leaving the country and becoming top trainers overseas. Now, that's an export we don't need. There's one we do, though. Look at the Moroney's, Stephen Gray in Singapore, Paul O'Sullivan in Hong Kong, just to name a few. We need a racing minister, sir, who is dedicated to racing, one portfolio, one minister, and for that minister to have the guts and determination to lift stakes, centralise racetracks, cut the number of race days, and supply tax cuts for breeders for broodmares, especially the hobby trainer or smaller breeder. Currently, sir, over 1/3 of broodmares, both thoroughbred and standardbred, have disappeared. Breeders are finding they are getting less for their foals than the cost of servicing, growing the foal and getting to the market. In 2 years' time, we will have such a shortage of young horses that our $1.6 billion industry that is teetering now will fall into the brink. There are the equivalent of some 17,000 full-time workers, the heart and soul of racing. There are some 52,000 workers involved actively in racing on a daily basis. Earlier today, I spoke to a trainer. For him to send a horse to a midweek meet costs him some $700 in transport, feed, grooming, staff. Those are his direct costs. Now, if the horse doesn't win, the trainer comes home with nothing. And you know something is seriously wrong with racing when our top trainers are struggling to make a dollar and leaving our country in droves. Sir, within a year, I urge the minister, as I have urged him before, raise stakes. Weekday meetings should have a $15,000 minimum, and Saturday races should carry a minimum of $30,000. By cutting out the Monday and Friday races in the thoroughbred industry, we will have extra money that can go straight into stakes. We need a minister that will do the hard yards and either extract payment from offshore bookies or legislate and enforce and punish people who gamble with those offshore bookies. They contribute nothing to the New Zealand racing industry. But, sir, I think the minister will find if he talks to these bookmakers, they would rather contribute to our industry than to lose the big money punters from New Zealand. Now, there are more things that must change, but I reiterate, stakes must be raised. Then tracks must be maintained to a safe and reliable level. Last year, we had a record number of abandoned race days, and today, this year, we're on target to beat that. And I would remind the Racing Board that it is their duty to look after the interests of stakeholders, and that includes track upkeep and safety. Moving on, Racefields legislation must be introduced and the Racing Act must be made fit for purpose. Section 16 has to be changed. Now, sir, I don't mind if other parties plagiarise or steal these ideas, because it is racing that is suffering, and racing will survive if we implement these ideas. Racing needs heroes. It already has them, sir, but it's just a question of presentation. Harness racing needs heroes. They need to be given more incentive to ply their trade. We need vision from the minister and innovative thinking. I suggest the top 10 drivers from each island be contracted and paid a base fee. The top 20 drivers would compete throughout the country with 4 10-horse fields as part of each premier race meeting. There are other things we could do. The industry needs to evolve. The government needs to move with the times, value and retain people in the industry and attract those from outside. The racing folk that I know are some of the hardest working people in the country and deserve a strong voice. The industry should be exciting, energetic and vibrant, but sadly it has steadily declined. However, we can turn it around. It's just a question of vision and leadership, inseparables that the New Zealand Independent Coalition provides. Sir, the New Zealand Independent Coalition is determined to save the racing industry.
I call Julianne Genter. I rise to take a call on the supplementary estimates on behalf of the Green Party. I came to Parliament